Welcome everybody to another Friday Live. We're getting ready for the Woodsmith workshop, as you may know, and I want to touch on a couple of those things today as we talk about it. We also got a magazine deadline due, because if you're going to have one thing happening, a major event, you might as well put a couple of other ones on top of that. So as you saw, we got the Woodsmith workshop sign coming along. Mark's been working on that. So those of you who are going to be coming to the event will be able to see it. Mark, you might make an appearance over there too.
Yeah, I'll make a guest appearance.
All right, perfect. So one of the things I want to talk about is if you haven't signed up yet for the Woodsmith workshop, I would love to have you there, to be able to meet the staff here at Woodsmith, learn some great things about woodworking, not only from the cast members of the TV show, but also some of our guest presenters. And speaking of cast members, I'm going to come around over here and talk to our creative director, Chris Fitch, who is the Lord High Star Commander over everything that happens in the shop here. He's also going to be presenting at the workshop, and I wanted him to talk a little bit about his particular part of it. So Chris, take it away.
Hello everyone, glad you could join us today. So at the Woodsmith workshop, I'm going to be talking a little bit about carving, in particular folk carving, and in particular that fish up there. Now, wood carving is always one of these woodworking subsets that can be a little bit daunting because it's organic in shape, no straight lines. Well, what I really want to encourage everyone during this workshop is how fun it is and easy it is. And I'm going to give you some simple tips and simple things to follow to make wood carving something you'll want to try, hopefully this winter. So we're going to be talking about how to transfer designs onto a blank, how to deal with issues of symmetry. We're going to use templates, talk a little bit about tools, work holding, and we'll finish up with a little bit of work on painting. But I want to make sure that this is something that you can do, that is interesting, that is exciting and fun, and you're going to want to try. So I think we'll have a good time, and I hope you can be there.
Thanks, Chris. I want to talk a little bit about some of my project that I was showing you off last week, the tabletop. Now you'll notice that the top looks pretty much the same as where I left it. However, I haven't really been idle on it, as even I might think about it. I was thinking about what I'm going to do for the finish on it, and I'm going to pick up something that Logan talked about in last season of the TV show and do some ebonizing. So I have a couple of concoctions going here, and that's what's been my progress on the table. I've started by brewing up a pretty stiff batch of tea that I'm going to apply to the top and the base when I get to it, which is going to add some tannic acid to the tannic acids that are already, the tannins that are already present in the oak. And then from there, on Monday I started a little science experiment here of dissolving some steel wool in vinegar. And as that vinegar eats away at the steel wool, it's going to create an iron acetate solution. And when I apply that over the top of the tea that I've applied to the tabletop, it's going to make it a nice rich black color. But the cool part about it here is that it's going to still be pretty transparent in the sense that we'll be able to see and appreciate the grain on the tabletop itself, well, on the rest of the table. And it'll be deep enough that if and when this table sees some active use, some small children, stuff getting dropped on it, that it's not going to chip away and you'll see these bright, unstained parts. So it's a little experiment on my part and a way to take oak and give it a whole new look to it rather than just applying a stain or adding some finish to it. So let's head back over to Dylan and we'll talk about his stool.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my, room equivalent or workbench equivalent of my room over here, my mess. I cleaned up a little bit so there's more attention drawn to this side of it rather than over here. So last week we talked a little bit about the Welsh stick chairs. They're coming up in the next issue. So to kind of dovetail off that project, we have a shave horse coming up, not to give too much away, but we wanted to create some projects that would go along or be complementary to that project as well. So in the meantime, I've kind of been experimenting with actually a much needed item for me, but also something that we can provide here at the magazine is a new shop stool. So Once a project's done with an issue, it's kind of nice to go into some project ideas that you've had in the works that you can kind of do a little more free form with and kind of improvise as you go along as you will. So as you can kind of see, I did bring some of the elements from the Welsh stick chairs into this. The legs on this are that kind of octagonal tapered look. I wanted to kind of utilize as many practices or tools and methods as I could. So again, I set up a jig on the table saw for the legs. I did a little bit of turning over the lathe for my stretchers. I had this walnut blank sitting around for quite some time that I acquired from a friend of mine and thought that it would make a great top for a stool, so I actually got to put that into action. So I do have the through tendons on here that are actually wedged. You'll notice there is actually a slight dish on here that I used with that Holy Galahad head on my angle grinder, which works great. And then on the side here, there's actually a little bit of fluting, and it kind of looks like the edge of like a Coca-Cola bottle top on there. So you'll also notice the finish on here, there's actually some burning. I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit. It's not quite the Japanese Shusujiban, finish that where you actually burn it. You're basically applying a layer of carbon to make it rot resistant and resistant to insects and moisture and that sort of thing. But again, I more or less just kind of wanted to experiment with some fire to exercise my pyro tendencies a little bit here in the shop and just kind of see how things look. And again, it's kind of one of those projects where it started with a need, but we're just more or less experimenting, seeing finish-wise, construction, what works. So this was kind of the result of one of those ad-lib projects at the end of one of our magazine issues. So kind of want to just show it off a little bit. We'll probably post some pictures of it on Facebook later on, maybe some on Instagram. We can welcome some comments and feedback on that. But again, I just wanted to utilize this time for a little show and tell. So that's all I have for you this afternoon. I don't know if we have anybody else that's speaking today. Phil will probably wrap us up here. So.
Well, I do want to wrap things up, but I also want to say that it's been kind of a quiet week here as we wrap up projects for one issue of the magazine and before we get started on the next one. But this morning we've been shooting stuff for our Woodworking Essentials video product that we have. So it's a subscription service. You can sign up for that. And getting his first taste of being on camera, Mark's going to be on talking about a router template work that he did on the book stand that Chris designed. So you can look forward to that. And actually, we got it set up right over here. Mark's got the props put together.
Yep.
So the book stand had the drawer fronts had a little recessed section on it, and Mark's going to show and demonstrate the technique for creating that recess using a router. And we'll see how he does on camera. We'll also see if the camera can translate into an English accent. So keep your eyes out for that. Also, again, if you're interested in coming to the Woodsmith workshop, it's in like a week and a half. Please sign up. You can find all the details at woodsmith.com/workshop. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing your comments here on Facebook and connecting with us, and also pay attention for the upcoming season 13 of the TV show. See you next week, everybody.